Facebook, YouTube, and Pilled.net. We appreciate you all for tuning in on this special holiday edition. We hope you're all having a great Christmas season, as Rob and I are. It's been a while since we've been live here on YouTube, and we said, you know what? We got to do our special Christmas show live for all the YouTube and Facebook and Pilled.net viewers. So here we are tonight with all the regulars joining us. We're looking forward to bringing you the show. I'm doing great tonight. I just got off work, as you can see by my clothing. But Rob, how are you doing tonight?
Have yourself a merry little Christmas. May your heart be right. I hope everyone is having a great night. Glad that you could tune in. I think, Andrew, this is our first, and since August with the game, and we want to bring a live show. Huh? Right, a long time. And about the show tonight, of course, we are on Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. 8 p.m. Central Time, and that's 6 p.m. time, I think. On the anyway, we're on America Out Loud on radio, so definitely tune in and listen to us. So without further ado, we have Ray Portree.
Good, Rob. Good evening, Andrew. Great to be here. It's been a while. Been a lot of water under the bridge.
And we also have with us
it's good
Heather,
to see you.
Journalist Heather Robinson.
Hello, Heather.
You guys.
Heather,
hello. It's great, guys. This is really nice.
Hey. And we also we have Sean T on with us also. How's it going, guys?
Hello, how are you? Can you hear me okay?
Fantastic. We can hear you just fine.
Fantastic. What up, yo?
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear.
So let me ask you, any singers? Do we have any singers out there? Besides myself,
tonight,
I'll try,
Yeah.
Just the poet here.
Yeah, have you warmed up the old vocal cords yet, Rob?
Poet.
You want to do some carols or something?
Hey, I got the vocal. Absolutely.
Hey, quick question. The volume is a little low on my end. So is there a way you can crank up the volume for everybody?
No, I can hear you perfectly.
Okay.
Actually, loud and clear.
Okay. It was a little soft on my end. I'm like,
about
what's
you
that
guys?
song called? Pump up the volume. Pump up the volume.
It might work better if you leave and come back.
Yeah.
You might just be getting a bad connection or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You want me to try it again?
If you can't hear us, I mean, it's worth a shot.
Back.
Yeah, if you can't hear us, just leave and come back. If
okay, let me try one more time to log in, okay? So I'm going to log off, then I'll log in here in a minute, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And see, guys, we are back to being live. Not to cut Rob off.
And that's with video too, right? So it's different for you.
Yeah, that's with video. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while.
See faces.
So I think this is. So Sean is back. Oh, Chris is out in the thing. We should have brought you on to do some for us, Chris. Really, I mean, cutting it up, the Washington articles that he's been publishing. I love to read and share his articles. You guys have definitely got to tune in. He's also been on news a couple of times. So we are a fan of Chris Tremogi. Sean, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. How about you?
Hey, loud and clear once again.
Good.
We are all
you want
good.
to sing Last Christmas?
Hey, let's go. Last Christmas, I gave you my heart. Dun, dun,
Yes.
dun. I don't know the rest
Have
of
you heard
the
about
song.
the game with Last Christmas? Like if you hear it,
No, what about?
you're on the radio or something, you're out. You have to like turn it off before you hear the song going.
Oh, yeah, because you're back. Is that it?
Yeah. That too. Very nice.
Yeah. heard about this. So, guys, what's going on? What has been happening since together? Don't be shy.
Well, I think we're in it. What variant are we in again?
Was it gray?
Right. What kind of variant? What letter of the Greek alphabet of the variant have we reached at this point? Right.
Moronic.
You know, I could have. You know, this is a holiday show. You know, I mean, I did write a poem about it's Greek. It's Greek. It sounds Greek to me. I don't know if you know. I mean, I can go get it and start us off. Okay, let me go get it because I wasn't planning on reading it, but let me go get
it.
Okay. What's going on? Are you in the city or?
Rob, hey guys, I'm doing great. I'm actually I'm in Pittsburgh, my hometown, and if you hear a doggy moving around in the background, well, I'm dog sitting with my mom. We're taking care of my brother's dog for the the week, so that's our Christmas gesture of goodwill, and I apologize for the noise, but everything's fine.
No,
yeah, I've been coming down off my big veterans piece where I interviewed.
That was a great piece, by the way.
Yes, 1,300-year-old approximately veterans. Thank you, Rob. Thank you. And so, yeah, you know, I'm working on some more features and opinion pieces in the pipeline, and yeah, just enjoying the holiday season. It's nice to be in Pennsylvania, Western Pennsylvania, the real America, if you will. Lots of spirit here and good energy. So, you know, I'll tell you what, I love my adopted city, New York, but I'm kind of glad not to be there right now. I know it's pretty heavy. So, just counting my blessings for this holiday season.
Yeah.
You know,
you can tell the Pittsburgh accent too.
I hear what you're saying about the, being in New York City, but I think that I'm not afraid. Like I said, I'm not going to live my life in fear. Not that you are, Heather. I know that there's. Go ahead.
Just that I appreciate the reminder, and I get a little protective of my mother in particular.
Oh, absolutely.
That's my concern, but I feel like for myself, I just am, not concerned about it, honestly. But I think, anyway. But you were saying.
I think that there is a degree of concern. You see the numbers. I mean, when you walk around the city, you see the long lines of people that are being tested. I have to be honest with you guys. Last week, because my son went to school and someone in his class had gotten the virus, and they said, we're going to close the classroom. So he came home. So we immediately went and got tested. Okay, this weekend, everything was fine and dandy. I got sick. His cousin got sick. And I said, this is it. We got it. I know this time we got it. I was sniffling. I know they were doing the same thing. I'm like, this is it. We got it. We got it. So we went, we got tested. I was waiting, got the negative. I'm like, what is this? I don't believe it. Now, that if you have O blood type, that you're immune to the virus. I don't know. I have my blood type is O positive.
You're less likely to get it. Slightly less likely to get it, but
okay.
Not immune.
So maybe that's what it is, that my blood type. I don't know.
Well, are you vaccinated, Rob? Did you get the vaccination?
Yes. I got vaccinated. Yes. Did not get the booster.
You didn't. I mean, I personally, I think, based on the data and anecdotally that we know, look, vaccinations, no guarantee that you're not going to get it. But I do think the vaccinations do something. I mean, I think they do provide some degree of protection. So I think,
absolutely.
That's
right. Especially those individuals who have underlying of a certain age, I would definitely recommend the vaccine. My son has not gotten the vaccine, and I'm going to, although our mayor, who's on his way, that they cannot participate in any extracurricular activities unless they've had the vaccine. He participates in a program. I think that they're penalizing, wanting to pit him against me because, well, if your dad is not going to let you get the vaccine, then you can't do this. I'm thinking, are you serious? mean, in my opinion, how dumb and stupid is that? Yes, they could probably get it. But when you look at the survival rate, I mean, and their young bodies, allow their bodies to be able to develop an immunity to fight against these viruses. Why is it that there's this push to get the kids? When you look at the trajectory of this, how this thing started almost a year ago, and we were told that it's going to kill all these people who will get the death numbers. Now, mind you, anything about the deaths anymore. However, under President Biden, on the news, you don't see it on the news. You don't see the numbers as a nonstop a year ago.
For sure, it was almost
under President Biden. I
yeah.
Under President Biden, of the and they've taken the vaccine under President Trump, but you don't hear that. There's all this gloom, and people have a right to be afraid when all you hear is that you're going to die. This Delta variant, there was no push for a vaccine, but once the Omicron variant came out and Pfizer started saying, "Oh, we're working on a booster," there was always these rumors of a booster. Now, maybe, profit off of this. I don't know. We won't know because we don't have a media that will ask these questions. And when you do, you're down, which isn't fair. We have a right to know what's, and if you want us to feel as if the vaccine is going to help us, and I do believe, as you said, the vaccine has its purposes, but the way that they're pushing it on us, I don't like that at all.
Yeah, I mean, I think tonight, on our live show tonight, let's vaccinate Andrew right here. Let's get the needle out.
Absolutely, Andrew, brace your shoulder up. Let's get
Andrew's ready. And I mean, I think you do bring up a good point about the ridiculousness of it all. It's like, hey, if you want to get a vaccine, go get it, right? If you don't want it, I don't blame you. And we're pro-choice as far as vaccines go. But like when you're making all these things like, oh, you have to get a vaccine to go to this, or to go to a concert. I go to a lot of concerts. They say you have to get a vaccine to go to this venue. It's getting excessive at that point.
It is very much so. So Ray, are you ready?
Well, I just a little background before I read the poem. We had a live stream back in August, and then in October I went to my 50th. It was actually 51st high school reunion on Long Island, and I came back with COVID. So I had COVID in October, and now I can't get a booster is not recommended till January. So, but I was vaccinated with the 2 Pfizers, and I had a mild case. I feel, it wasn't really that bad at all, and I feel more protected having gotten the COVID, testing positive and having some symptoms, and I'm not worried about it. I mean, I just went for a physical the other day, and everything is good. So.
How is your dear
mom? Is good too. My mom is good. She never got sick, even though I was sick, and I came home and
wow, you guys were
to the free state of Florida, and we're just really happy we live in Florida, frankly. And I I know DeSantis has taken a lot on the chin, but we're pretty happy and things are pretty open. Pretty much I did some travel. I was out in California. I was in Las Vegas. I was in Tampa for a football game last week. So I've been getting out and feeling pretty good, enjoying retirement. I haven't been doing that much writing, but I did manage to write a few. This one I'll read tonight. It's called "It's All Sounds Greek to Me," and this I wrote, I think in October. Maybe even sooner. And here it is. You'll think you're on a campus full of Greek alphabetic names: Epsilon, Tau, Omega, Alpha, Mount Olympus Games. It's not a sorority or frat house like an Animal Housing fame. It names each COVID variant, which the vaxxers cannot tame. We were told vaccines were foolproof, no mask needed on our face. Then along came the Delta variant. Our antibodies got lost in space. So watch for them to pop up every time when one's contained. We've seen our freedom stifled, except a slew of new Greek names. There's a virus in the pasture. Must be why they call it Mu. Fauci says it's going to spread. Another booster's coming too. We've allowed the government artists to mold us just like clay. The leaders smirk and call us jerks. We're Greek sculptures on display. I feel like we're being gamed, jabbed and poked and played. Mandates will inject our kids, mask them each and every day. If you think the end's in sight, you'd better think again. Greek names are going to accumulate until 2 voting cycles end. Try to interpret what you're told as you're walking down the street. Keep that passport close at hand, while it may sound Greek to thee. So
I like that.
we all
Very
predicted,
nice.
thank you. We all predicted that this would not end, and it's not going to end. It's going to continue. They have latched onto this thing, and it worked. I mean, it got Biden elected and Trump never elected. And there were from write-in ballots and everything else that happened. And I'll probably still go to my grave thinking it was not kosher.
Amen.
But
Not alone.
But this is not going to end. This is not going to end. It's just, and I feel bad for the children because, they talk about, well, there was smallpox and there was Jonas Salk and there was this and that. And bear in mind, those were deadly childhood diseases. COVID is not a childhood disease. And they compare it like, well, that's why vaccines are good. They eliminate, they eradicate. This vaccine does not eradicate. I read about I think a celebrity cruise. This was a cruise of only vaccinated staff and passengers. A complete ship vaccinated. Well, there were about 80 or 90 cases coming off the ship. So that was not the unvaccinated that were causing the problems, was it? So I feel that we've downplayed natural immunity quite significantly. I mean, even I had a little tiss with my doctor the other day because I said I felt, secure. And oh no, you can't feel secure. Well, I can feel secure. And I'm not worried about it. Neither is mother.
Can I ask you a question, Ray? Just I'm anecdotally, doing a little research. And did you say that you and your mom were in the same household, but she did not get it?
Correct.
Wow.
When I came down, I tested positive on Long Island. And I immediately, the person I was staying with, he basically said, Ray, you got to go. Because he had grandchildren and kids around, and I agreed. I didn't want to go in a hotel, so I snuck onto an early morning plane the next day, came home, and I was 10 days in quarantine. Mom never got it. I mean, so we were communicating on the telephone inside of our condominium.
I see. So you tried to stay away from her.
I completely stayed away. She when she fed me, she just left some things outside the door and scooted out. But realistically, this virus is in the air. And this is the other thing why I don't think masks do anything, because the virus is so small. But yeah, it was kind of a miracle. But she wasn't afraid, and she even told me, I mean, this is kind of funny, but maybe not. But she said, "Look, Ray, if I drop dead from this thing, I'm not going to blame you or anything." She's had a pretty damn good life. So she's had 96 years of immunity.
Wow.
I do think, I mean, we're very careful.
Yeah,
we're very careful. We still mask in certain places, and we wash our hands a lot.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And rightfully so. And you should do that.
So it's Greek to me. And we all predicted that would continue. And now that Israel is even talking about a fourth now.
Oh gosh.
And now the military says they have something that it will work very well. So there's a lot more shots coming our way.
It'll be interesting to see what those Pfizer pills are like when those come out. I'm interested to see what the results are from those.
So, Rick, you had 2 shots. You had the full vaccination, but not the booster shot.
Yeah, I was too soon for the booster.
Mm-hmm.
Before I went to Long Island in October, and then when I got it, now you have to basically wait 3 months after you have COVID to get the booster. So I'll get it in January.
And you came down with it after traveling.
I came down traveling to my reunion. It turned out one of my old friends. Rather than drive home to New Jersey at 1 o'clock in the morning, we just said, we'll crash on the couch. I had a friend of mine, we shared a room, and he got it too. So it was probably in the air that evening that he slept on the couch in the hotel room.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I got it. And there was a couple of other people that got it at the reunion. There were about 80 people. No one had a severe case. Everybody recovered quite well. But that's how I got it. It wasn't on the plane. It was definitely in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I've been in 6 or 7 or 8 airplane rides since November. So you know, going out to California was up and down 3 times on Southwest, back and forth. And then I went to Tampa, Las Vegas. So I've been on like 8 or 9 planes. And so here we are. We managed to get through another year of Biden, you know, and it's just.
Not yet, but almost.
We're
almost there.
I don't think it's
One
gonna, I
year,
don't think it's
really.
going to last another
This
year.
is going to be 1 year once we get to January, you know.
Oh my God.
Feels like it's been a few years, but
one pretty long year, that's for sure. But then again, the last couple of years have been pretty long years.
but you guys, you know what? I will say this. I personally feel that his residency has been a complete failure. First, when he stopped the building of the border wall, they changed this whole thing with defund the police. They saw crime going up. They did nothing about it. He said that he was going to tackle COVID-19 and eradicate the country of it. He then tried to remove the troops out of Afghanistan, which was a failure. 13 soldiers died. Americans left behind. They pivoted from it. All of his failures, they have pivoted from it. He has gone out on the world stage. He has stumbled and fumbled. The guy hasn't gotten anything right. Yet still has tried to protect him, which if it were anyone else, they would put out those failures on full display. But they're so afraid of the man who left the White House that they're so blind with hate that they cannot report on what Americans need to know. This guy is dangerous. We now find out that there is a Chinese spy working at Harvard. And he's not the only one. There are a lot of others. The way that they're giving China a pass on basically everything, human rights, the Uyghurs, they're completely not looking at it. But that all said, I will give him credit for one thing. You guys may disagree, but I have to give credit to where credit is due, is that finally he came out and acknowledged that it was President Trump through Operation Warp Speed that we were able to get seen to the American people. I applaud him for doing that. Now I know that there was a reason behind it, because he knows that his numbers are down, and he knows that, hey, maybe this will help people get the shot. And also remember, President Trump said on his tour with Bill O'Reilly that he got boosted. He got the booster shot. About 30 people or 20 people in a crowd of 500 booed him. And that was the only thing that the media decided to run with. It's like, but you guys said that he was against the vaccine, his own vaccine. So when he says, I got it, and those 30 people said, boo, oh, we've got to put this out there. But it backfired. It's like, wait a minute, do you actually see what you're doing? He just admitted that he got the boost, he got boosted. But these guys are so blind with hate that they could not just say, okay, he did it. So again, I take my hat off to President Biden for acknowledging that it was President Trump and not he and Kamala, who have, derided this vaccine, said, I wouldn't take it if it was coming out of Trump. And the media went along with it. So if there's a reason why people are hesitant about it, other than the fact that Dr. Fauci he's constantly changing the goalposts and moving it all over the map, they're the ones who have put this fear in everyone's heart.
They participated in it anyway. Yes. And I tend to think, as you guys know, I've been pro-vaccine, not pro-mandate, but pro-vaccine from the start. And one of the things that gave me confidence was that President Trump did lead on this. Of course, he's not a scientist, but, my understanding is that the scientific protocols were solid and that really what was expedited was not the science, it was the red tape. And it typically goes along with, years and years and years of trials. And I mean, I guess there's always a very, very rare, risk with anything. But to me, the fear of the vaccine is a little like the fear of COVID. I think both tend to be exaggerated. I think that, I think the vaccines are basically safe, and I think that people should have a choice about it. But I also suspect this is totally just my speculation. And, admittedly, I'm not a scientist. I just play one on After Dark with Rob and Andrew. But my mom and I were talking about this the other day, about how a virus is a primitive life form that wants to live. And viruses mutate, but the speed with which this thing seems to be mutating, it just seems really, I don't know if exponential would be the word. It's just it's very fast. And we, as Ray's poem acknowledged, we're, every few months there's another Greek letter. And my suspicion is that maybe because you can't vaccinate a whole world instantly, because we're fighting a war against the virus is mutating around the vaccinations, right. Meaning that, it doesn't mean the vaccinations on an individual level aren't doing anything. I think they probably do help protect people much of the time, but they're not perfect. And also not everybody's vaccinated. So it's like this thing is finding ways around. And I think that now that we've embarked on the vaccination push, I don't think we can stop. I don't think that's the answer, but I do think that something may be happening at a very basic cellular level that's unprecedented, because I don't know that there's ever been such a sort of, I guess there have been these other massive pushes of vaccinate, and the polio vaccine we know was the most perfect vaccine probably ever created, and that eradicated polio, the Salk vaccine. But maybe this one, these vaccines, they're not as perfect, and we're going to have maybe a longer war with this thing. But anyway, just some thoughts.
Well, I think what President Trump said earlier on, and a lot of people made fun of him and they laughed about it, is when he said this is like the common cold. And I will always go back to that, because now we see that there are a lot of commonalities, that every year or every season people get colds. And I've got to say that this year I have gotten a cold and I thought that I had COVID, but it was just a common cold. Yeah. So when he said that, people laughed about it, but it seemed that it's true, and that this virus will be around for some time, and that it will go into our lexicon of being something like the flu, pneumonia. Now we have COVID. But what I'm disturbed by is that the there doesn't seem to be an interest on behalf of the media to want to do further research as to what exactly did China know? Why are we protecting China?
It's money.
We need to get to this, right? It's money. We need to decouple our economy from theirs. But we need to get to the bottom of this. And I think that people should be allowed. If Trump were in office, he would probably say, we should hold them accountable and we should sue them. And I'm sure that there are some people who are saying that, but they're afraid to speak up, lest they be called, or you're, xenophobic or what have you. You're racist. You don't like the Chinese people. You don't like Asians. And that's not it at all. We're talking about the government, their government. And
it's a tough problem. I mean, we owe China trillions.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've always said that the way you get change is by hitting somebody in the pocket.
Yeah.
And I believe that politically. And we're seeing that even with Manchin, holding this whole thing up. But we owe China trillions. I've stated a couple of times in the past, I'm probably a radical, but if they really did cause this, they owe us. I mean, they owe the world.
Yeah.
And maybe the way I've said, maybe we should default on loans to the Chinese. That would change their tune in a second. If we stop, because the interest, the loan on the debt is probably like $100 million a day. We owe so much. People don't understand what a trillion is. Do you know that a trillion seconds, how many years is a trillion seconds? Any of you? 33,000 years. Just to put it into perspective. That's what a trillion seconds is. Imagine a trillion feet. How many miles is a trillion feet? It's like 185 million miles. So $1 trillion is a lot of money. And we're just like, we toss it around like it's nothing. It's like a buck. I wrote a poem a couple of months ago called Thumb in the Dike. I don't know if any of you remember the fairy tale or the Dutch there was a story of a Hans Brinker, and he put his thumb in the dike so it stopped the flood. And that's kind of like what Manchin has done. And I wrote a neat poem about it. But
would you care to read it? Would you care to read it, Ray?
Sure.
Because I think what Manchin done. No, I don't put a lot of confidence in him. I appreciate what he did, but he's still a Democrat.
Well, yes,
I
allude
to
that.
I think he's a mole for Trump. It's gotten to that point. He's a mole for us.
We don't know quite what he is, but I don't even know if it's going to hold up. But
right,
I felt that, and the name of the poem is "Thumb in the Dike." The Dutch boy's name was Hans. His thumb would bring him fame. He saved his country from a flood. History was his to tame. The fable is well known. It has similarities today. When one person wields the power to plug the dike in their own way, the water has been rising, threatening the dam. There are so many who believe it's better to flood the land. Trillions of dollars are at stake. The sides are split in two. A single stroke could skew the vote from an agenda that is blue. So enter Senator Manchin, West Virginia's native son, from a state that honors freedom as much or more than anyone. The pressure has been mounting. Should he vote along the slate? They're asking why he won't comply, stirring up a mad debate. Some are calling him a traitor, a thorn that pricks the cause. They do not like he'll thumb the dike as if he is the boss. But the moral of the story, the lesson can be tough. It's hard to hold back water. One thumb is probably not enough. There you have it.
Well
They're
said.
calling
Well said.
Joe Manchin a traitor. He's taking it in the chin. Bette Midler got on thing calling, West Virginians dumb and illiterate. Just miserable stuff from somebody I loved growing up, Bette Midler. I would have given my right arm to date her.
Really?
I would. In the early days, I loved her. Sorry.
Well,
I
no.
mean,
To be
sorry.
fair, I would have from Adonis.
Sorry, Heather.
I said there's no accounting for taste.
Well,
It's a male thing, okay?
I think it's a Ray. I don't think any men would be competing with you.
Oh,
it's
man.
unfortunate. It's unfortunate that a lot of these celebrities have just completely gone crazy with their hate for Trump, and it just has like brought off the worst in a lot of individuals. I can't even watch different movies anymore if I know that the actor or actress has all this hate and this vitriol coming from them. But back to Manchin, the things that they're saying about AOC and Ilhan Omar and the three Trojan women, it's unbelievable. They've even gone as far as to say he's a racist, because everything is racism now. If you don't do it their way, they label you with racism. That will slow you down, and that would just like the kiss of death. And it's unfortunate, but in a way, it's kind of a good thing, because once this is all said and they played that card to the hilt, it will be retired, and no one is going to listen to it or believe it anymore about it. Millennials today, they have grown up in the least racist society than anyone. That yes, racism exists, it will always exist. As long as you have people be racism. And it's not just in the United States, it's all over the world. But to the degree that the left is portraying it, it's completely wrong. I am a black. I go back home to the South. And for them to portray the South as being this racist place and you're going to get killed if you're black, it's so completely wrong. I'm more likely to lose my life at the hands of a black man than I am at the hands of a man. Now that's a powerful statement that I just made. But you wouldn't listen to the media. They make it seem as if though whenever I walk outside, there's a white person who's waiting to kill me. And that's just not true. When you look at the numbers, look at what's happening in the country. When you look at what's trade on TV, the up crime, look who is behind it. And it pains me to say that. I say it all the time on this is Christmas time. This is a Christmas show. We speak truth to power. For many other people that are completely unaware, they're thinking, well, what they're saying, well, maybe it is true. Again, racism does exist, but at the level that they're saying that exists compared to time and the individuals that are inflicting the crime, it's like, what is happening? So when people go on TV, these politicians who are race baiters, and they're eliciting a reaction from people really unaware as to what's happening, it's really sad. It's really sad that that's what they're doing, having people to think that there are people on the outside waiting to kill black people. When you look at Chicago, when you look at Baltimore, when you look at Atlanta, when you look at California, you look at who's committing the crime. It pains me to say it, but no one else will say it. No one on the media. Whenever there is a shooting, they want to, as if though they're almost praying that it's a white boogeyman. And if it's a black person in Wisconsin, you hear nothing about it. Nothing to see here. Let's not talk it. But we need to talk about it.
It's been a crazy summer, it's been a crazy summer.
It has been a crazy under President Biden.
Yeah. You think of Kyle Rittenhouse, the trial, then you got Jussie Smollett, You know,
I'm glad you brought up Jussie Smollett. Kim Foxx should be removed from office. Why is she still? Surely there are other Black women who hold that position and uphold the law. Why is it that Kim Foxx must be there? A bad representation, supposed to uphold the law. This is a bad representation. It is a scar on Black people to make it seem as if though the district attorney could not do her job fairly, to make it seem as a Black man, to be proven innocent, she has to cheat. And not only that, we have to look at, it's a big picture. It's more than just Kim. Why was Michelle on an active case? Why did Michelle Obama have to reach out to Kim Foxx to dismiss the case? We need to look at that. Had that been Melania, the media would be all over it. Why can't we do it in this case? Well, because she's Black, and Black people can obey the law just like red people, just like everyone else. We cannot go down the slope of creating special laws because we're afraid. We can't live our life in fear. You look at our justice system. You look at the laws or the rulings that are Jan 6. A lot of these judges, what would happen? So they're going to prosecute these individuals to the full extent as they see it of the law. But when you look at the spring and summer of 2020, those individuals who did more harm than what happened on Jan 6, unfortunate, okay? A woman lost her life in cold blood. This is kept, no one is going to talk about it. Why aren't we talking about it? Why aren't people on the street saying this is not fair? My will turn. And when it turns, more division, because we're allowing a certain group of crime. Why? Well, because of what? Because of their skin color, because of what happened in the past. Again, the people that are growing up are living in the most least racist country than anyone ever. But yet, still, the left is saying that there is racism. Shame, shame, shame.
And when you look at Jussie Smollett's story, right, and going back to what his testimony was, the story that he made up, how dumb of a story that he really made up, okay? So he's saying he's there late night in Chicago, going to Subway, or wherever he said he went. I think he said Subway, late at night, okay? This is a celebrity. He's out late at night at Subway in inner city, downtown Chicago somewhere. Meanwhile, a couple of white dudes that want to make sure that they're known that they're MAGA, wearing Trump MAGA hats, come on the street there wearing those hats in full gear in inner city Chicago, where the gang neighborhoods are. And they're right there with their MAGA hats attacking Jussie right there on the streets outside Subway there at night. And how ridiculous of a story, of a fairy tale, basically, that Jussie Smollett made up. And that's the story that the media ran with, at least for the most part, until just now when they decided to forget about it because Jussie was found guilty of making up a very BS story.
And that's what it was.
Oops, sorry to cut you off, Rob. Before you finish your thought, I was just going to say, have you heard any word on when is he going to get sentenced?
No, and I think we all are probably on the same page, saying, well, he's probably going to get a slap on the wrist. So don't anticipate much as far as an actual punishment. As far as jail time goes, he'll probably get a lot of community service. So if you see him on the highway picking up trash, that's probably going to be the equivalency of his punishment for good old Jussie. And he'll get hired again because there's enough people that obviously hate Trump in the film and television industry.
Mm-hmm. Or he'll write a book.
Or he'll write a book and get paid that way too. Sure.
I mean, I felt from the day it happened that it was a hoax. And plus they did a dress rehearsal the day before. That was the linchpin for me. It's a dress rehearsal. Well, he was an actor. It makes sense.
Right. we know who attacked Jesse. Jesse attacked Jesse. And Sean a slap on the wrist. It because it needs to be more than a slap on the wrist. He has to be used so that others will not do the exact same thing. Can you imagine? They're always talking about race riots. Can you imagine? Could have the destruction that could have been brought down had this continued. But of course, it was liberal Chicago. But had it been anywhere else? Now,
Exactly.
Of course, conservatives would have torn down their city. Yeah. Bubba Wallace.
Look at NASCAR. Bubba Wallace, right? I mean, he was this black NASCAR driver. Pretty good, too. He was beloved by people of any political persuasion. NASCAR guys loved this dude. And then he made up this story about, having a rope on the garage at some speedway down south being a noose. No, it was a rope on a garage. And he knew that because he had been racing his whole career in the years and years. And this became a noose, and this became a slave reference, whatever else, according to him. And this became the time where Bubba Wallace, polarized the NASCAR community and made up his own Jussie Smollett-esque type of a story.
But
it's unbelievable.
I have a strange thought about it, which I'll share with you guys. I mean, I don't feel so angry at those guys. Obviously it's very wrong. And I take your point, Rob, that it could have spawned all kinds of terrible things. So of course it has to be taken seriously. But the types of people who sort of pull hoaxes and are pathological liars, maybe because I once dated somebody like this, long story, but in a way, I find it less despicable than the people who are promulgating hate day in, day out. I think these people are just kind of, capitalizing on, they're sick people. They're people who have, a compulsion to, not to make excuses. Of course it's wrong, but it's Jussie Smollett seems crazy to me. The whole thing seems crazy. The guy was already a celebrity. He didn't need to do this. And my guess would be that he's kind of a fabulist, an opportunist who he correctly perceived that at this cultural moment, people have been so sold a certain, like you said, Rob, a certain type of narrative is what everybody, that and only that is what's supposed to predominate in everyone's consciousness. And, as opposed to being a world of individuals, which we are, and all subject to the same basic laws, which we should be, instead there's all this, all these thinking in categories and PC. And so I think these people who are, just individuals who happen to be crazy or want publicity are perceiving an opportunity for themselves. And to me, the worst people are the ones, the elite politicians and people who should know better, who are just promulgating this whole worldview that's, where there's different sets of standards for different people, and everything's about the color of your skin, and this category is this. And to me, that's worse than these sort of individual unbalanced people who perceive an opportunity. But I don't know if I'm expressing myself right, but I just think that, they're not the architects of this sick sort of worldview, and they're sort of people who are probably mentally unbalanced and jumping in to try to capitalize on it.
Right. Well, I think, but the fact that he would go out and fabricate such a lie, and to this day he is to apologize when he was given the opportunity. Once they did the investigation, first he said that they weren't taking it seriously. And then they put like 125 police on this. They did the investigation and said, no, he did this himself. And now we're learning that Don Lemon had reached out to him. And you better make certain that you keep this story legit and keep it tight.
I think that's more despicable.
They don't believe you. And then Kim Foxx. Right. Kim Fox with his sister and said, he'll be okay if he doesn't change his story. I can't say anything else to you. Now, to me, I would think that people who have had brushes with the law think that, hey, prosecutors are always lying and cheating. Here is a example of what you have always let prosecutors do. And there isn't an outcry for her to lose her job. So she will continue in that job. In Chicago, murder rate of Black people is at an astronomical high. Right now, Black people are being killed in Chicago. This weekend, Black people will be killed in Chicago. Children will be killed in Chicago, where Kim Fox is the district attorney. Chicago, where Kim Fox has a duty by law to go out and prosecute. But Chicago, a place where she decided that she wanted a celebrity to walk free because Michelle Obama's got in contact with her former chief of staff, Tina Chitjen, and said, hey, make this go away. We're all abiding citizens. We're always saying don't get a fair shot. When you have Blacks in these capacities, in these roles, and they still don't act with jurisprudence as they should, what are we supposed to look for? What is supposed to happen? Everyone must be held accountable. No one is above the law. And then you have Tisha James in New York City, who realized that she wasn't going to be the governor, has decided, oh, well, I'm going to go back to my day job and I'm going to go after President Trump. Another Black woman. This is really sad. This is unfortunate. It seems as though there's a pattern here of incompetence in these high positions. But we've always wanted Black people to be in those positions. There are more qualified individuals that are out there than the ones that are in these positions. And it's most unfortunate that what we're seeing right now aren't the ones that are qualified. You look at San Francisco, the mayor of San Francisco, how for almost a year she said, let's defund the police. We can't have this, defund the police. And now she's saying, we're tired of this BS. We've got to get the police back out there. Mayor Lori Lightfoot, when President Trump said, I will send out the National Guards, I will help you get this under control. And she said, we don't want you here. Now she's reaching out to the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, who is just as corrupt as the day is long. She's reaching out to him to say, we need troops to come here and get this mess under control. The mess that she created by saying defund the police. And it goes on and on and on and on. And no one is being held accountable. No one is going to call them out. But you know what? On After Dark with Rob and Andrew, we are going to call them out every time. I am going to call them out because I am sick and tired of seeing this. The future generation is seeing this. I'm tired of them thinking that the world is against them. When you have people that look like them, the same skin color, who aren't doing anything to help them. They're in key positions and they can help. As the mayor of Dallas said, we're so concerned about white supremacy on the right when we should be looking at the white supremacy on. Van Jones said the exact same thing. But for some reason, going over everyone's head because we're so busy trying to look at President Trump and say he's a racist. President Trump, who created the Second Chance Act, President Trump, who got Alice Johnson out of prison when Barack Obama didn't want to do it. President Trump, who had his Justice Department to look into the entire matter with George Floyd. Barack Obama had 2 Black attorney generals. He could have come in and cleaned up house. But did he do it? No. So where is he now? In the basement, the puppet master for President Joe Biden. Shameful, shameful, shameful.
It seems to me that all we hear is blame. Blame, blame, blame. And you're right, Rob, there's no accountability. I mean, I hear Elizabeth Warren lately blaming. It's Publix and it's Kroger, it's Albertsons. They're raising the prices. Blame. Meanwhile, the Democrats have had the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Why aren't they to blame for a lot of what's going on? That irks me. That they have, and it's the same thing with Russiagate and everything else. Everybody has been blaming us. I'm going to write a poem that we, conservatives, we are the variant. We become the variant. We're the ones that are causing this whole problem. The unvaccinated, conservative, white variants. We're getting painted into a corner.
Right. But you know what?
And I don't know if there's a way out.
Well, there is a way out, but something that you said, I know you're being facetious when you're saying that, that we're the reason for this. But the other thing that we have to look at, and it's so sad, but Andrew and I have testament to this because we've had so many guests to come on our show and talk about it. We see now in the polls that the Hispanic population, it's almost split 50-50 as to who they're supporting. And it seems as if though the numbers are going up for the right. And nothing that the right is doing in particular other than the fact that they like the values, they like law and order. And while a lot of people would want you to believe that they're okay with illegals crossing the border, they're not okay with it. But I say that to say this. You look at the party of the conservatives. We have the perfect opportunity right now, as early as it is, so it seems, to take back the House, both houses, and the presidency. But sure enough, as we have that opportunity, we will waste the opportunity fighting amongst ourselves. And over what? Over absolutely nothing. Look at John Thune, who's now saying, well, I don't know, I might retire because everyone is looking at President Trump. Okay, well, who do you want them to look at? Mitch McConnell, Senator Thune, who do you want them to look at? What other conservative that's out there that's going to galvanize the people and put them together? I'm not saying that Ron DeSantis do it, okay? But when you have a sure path to victory, you need to keep your mouth shut, stop going media, and creating division. Now, I know that a lot of people don't like President Trump, and he has to be held against the same standard that we're holding everyone else. He will be old should he get. Now, he's an older man, but he has a lot of energy. But one of the things that I know is that he will have to put a cap on it. He can't go willy-nilly talking to Chris Wallace, thinking that, well, I can win them over. And I want to say this, you can't do it, okay? You can't go thinking that Chris Christie is your friend. He has now got to wise up and realize that this is not a game for a novice, because these people will stab you not in the back, but in the front, and will smile when they're doing it. But the Republican Party will squander this opportunity if they don't pull it together and stand together and cut out all the inner bickering behind the scenes. We have got to stand together because the Democrats are counting on the fact we will divide when it's time to stand together. When it's time to go to the polls, we will create all of this division amongst ourselves. If you don't like someone, hey, take it behind closed. Not run to the Washington Post. Do not run to CNN. Those are not news organizations. We got to keep this behind closed doors. Don't air, as they say, your dirty laundry. We have the perfect opportunity right now with everything the way it is. Now, the election is some ways off, but we should start planning now. Don't wait. We have got to get our games together or else we will lose. I mean, it seems easy right now, but the day draws closer, Democrats will pull out everything to take us out. Everything and some. So we've got to wise up. They're definitely going to push this whole thing with mail-in ballots. And we know, without a doubt, that is a recipe for disaster because they will have dead people voting. They will have illegals voting here in New York City. They've already passed a law. Local elections. resident aliens can vote with a green card. They can vote. Now, what you bet, you will also have some individuals who are illegal voting as well. And they will walk up. Don't worry about the ID. Now, if you don't have an ID, you can't go to a restaurant. But as far as voting, oh, don't worry about it. Come on in here and vote. We had better get our lawyers ready, because the Democrats, as they have said before, they are not playing with us. They have come too far with their agenda. They are not going up on this. And they will use Jan 6 as a nexus for just tearing everything. I know that Trump is going to be giving a speech come Jan 6. Let someone vet that speech. We don't need to rehash anything or try to prove anything, because no one is listening. We need to use that date to move forward.
You know, it just occurred to me as you were talking, Rob, you know, with all the carrying on that requiring people to have ID to vote is impossible. Something tells me they're going to require proof of vaccination for people to vote in person. I doubt that they'll apply the same standard, you know,
Right.
the left.
That's if they feel that they can get over on the elections, they won't want proof to vote necessarily to have the picture ID, but no, we want to make certain that you have proof of ID to come into the polls to vote. I think, Heather, they're going to try to once again mail in ballots, because they know a sure way to victory. But tabulate the votes, go behind the scenes and say, oh, pull the votes out of the back seat of the car or the trunk. Or you know, that Christmas gift that you got, there's a bunch in there. Bring that box out here.
Well, you know, Rob,
I
we're
put
not
nothing
even
past these people.
speculate about this. We're not even allowed to speculate or have these discussions, or we can get kicked off with social media, which I think just makes people more suspicious, because this is supposed to be a free country, you know. But I'm just reminding everybody that we keep talking that way, even if it's perfectly legitimate to question, which it should be. Anyway,
Right.
We know certain topics are off limits in America, in media, in social media, which is ridiculous, but that's the way it is, right?
I've been suspended off of Twitter for close to a year.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
So have I.
It took
And
my
I gotta
it
say,
took
I
my
missed
book
it.
business out of business. You know,
I have not missed it at all. I know that Trump is coming up with his own social media platform. It will be interesting to see what happens.
Well, you're not missing much with Twitter. That's true. Twitter is
Yeah, I don't miss it. I don't miss it at all.
Yeah, Sean was lucky enough to survive, but apparently his account recently got hacked, so his Twitter account isn't doing him much good anymore.
No. I mean, you know, it's, you know, the thing with Twitter, right, is because, you know, I really enjoyed, you know, doing things, but it became so high maintenance that, you know, it's just like checking your direct message folder every day was a real chore. And getting these groups where you tweet and then you retweet the group, it became very overwhelming, and it just, you know, you're going down a hole you're not really wanting to go down, but that's what you do in Twitter.
And it's very vicious, very mean. You know, they'll be mean, they'll be vicious, they'll gang up, but they won't be politically incorrect or have discussions about certain subjects that are not allowed. And it's, you know, all in the name of what? Tolerance. It's ridiculous.
All in the name of misinformation, shielding us from misinformation, but it's like there's more misinformation. You look at, going back to Justice Smollett, you look at all the end that was put out with people saying, oh, this happened, this is racism, but, and it's still there. No one has removed it. It is
decides
still there.
Information, of course, and this is why. Yeah,
I don't want the government to come in and start to take over social media, because we know government does a bad job with anything, but there has to be an even playing field. So when I look at it from that viewpoint, I'm like, it's not fair. And as you said, Ray, it killed your book sale. I mean, they shouldn't have that much. And then when they march to the hill, lying, saying we're not doing this and we're not doing that, but yet they are. You have proof. Who's going to make them pay? Who's going to say you can't do this? And then you have all these attorneys who are afraid to say they could get canceled. They could lose their livelihood. It's not fair. But yet we are December 23rd, 2021. And Merry Christmas. This is where we are.
Would you mind if we change subject for a minute with something I'd like to talk about? And mainly because it's my alma mater, the University of Pennsylvania. And we had this story of this trans swimmer who is an all Ivy swimmer as a male for 2 years, and then did a transition, and now she's just destroying any women's swimming record. And there's a lot of pushback that this just is not fair. And I'm curious, this panel, what you all think of this.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate what we continue to see happen in sports, particularly women's sports. We see this all the time. And yeah, I heard she set all these world records. And I seen this Idaho State girl just recently spoke out who said that she had lost to trans on 5 different occasions to where she didn't get an award, but the trans athlete did. And yeah, it's just it hurts women is who it really hurts.
Yeah, I'll say this. Sean G, if you're making a drink, please make one for us also. Sounds like you're making a pretty awesome drink there. But I'll comment. Andrew and I, we've talked about this on the show, After Dark with Rob and Andrew, on America Out Loud and iHeartRadio. And I think that, well, for one, there are only 2 genders, male and female, per the chromosomes. Now, you can say whatever you want to say. You can say that you're this and you're that. But at the end of the day, when we follow the science, biology, male and female. When you die, autopsy that's done, they won't say, oh, this was transgender. No, they will say this was a male or female who apparently mutilated their genitalia. Let's just be honest here. Now, this young person, man, who's now a year ago, 2 years ago, was a man competing, could not win. What he was going through, if he at the time thought that he was, of the other persuasion sexually, I don't know. I don't care. Title IX is supposed to allow in a sport. Why is it that we now have men competing and breaking records? And then you have the justice system saying, oh, it's okay. Because they're supposed to take steroids and decrease this and decrease that. Okay, now we're bringing in drugs. This should not be happening. Where is NAL? Where is the National Organization for Women? When Maritina Navratilova came out and said that this shouldn't happen, people said that she was homophobic. She's a lesbian. J.K. Rowling, she's a leftist. And she's saying this makes no sense. We cannot sit here and say that this is okay and she's not. He's not. He should not be allowed to compete. If he wants to compete, okay, fine. Get transgender team and let them compete. To me, that's fair. But to allow him to compete, break all the records, and then say, oh, look at what he did. Really? He didn't do anything. Okay, he cheated. And it shouldn't happen. It is not fair. And I would say to those women swimmers, I know that you've worked long and hard, but at some times you have to make a stand. And all of your hard work will go for naught if you don't make a stand, because you will never win. If I were them, I would get my swimsuit and I would say, this is it. We're boycotting. We're not doing this anymore. And
they're afraid for their future careers.
Well, they don't have a choice now, in my opinion.
They don't.
I get it.
I know you get it. And this is the problem, because we've come into this woke society.
Yeah.
where you can't have an alternative view anymore,
Yeah. That's
or you become the variant.
Yeah.
You know, and this is, we could see it across the board. Now the parents spoke out. There's like a dozen of the parents. They wrote a letter to the NCAA, and what I don't get is, how did these athletic organizations become medical professions where they can determine that, well, as long as you've had a year of taking something, a drug, that's enough where you've transitioned? How do they know?
Yeah.
What proof do they have
Not
that
only that's
that removes your muscle structure so that you're not as strong? I mean, it's this is good. All this stuff has got to end at some point. We've got to get back to they call it a new normal. Yeah, we need the old normal back.
The old normal.
Yeah, I mean,
Like you
we've
said,
lost
not
control
only-
of gender.
Right, but not
Everything
only
gender,
that,
we've lost. You know, it's
right,
like
if saying we're follow the science, okay, then follow the science and accept it for what it is. There are two genders. Go ahead, Sean. I'm sorry, I was talking over you. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's okay. But yeah, I mean, because it's like, you know, we've lost the gender battle to where it's like we are making the rules up as they go as far as what gender is. If you want to define yourself as a male today, that's what they will allow you to do. If you want to define yourself as female or non-binary or whatever other kind of gender you want to proclaim yourself as, they have allowed that. And this, unfortunately, has affected, of course, sporting events, whether it be in college, as Ray mentioned from, you know, the UPenn story, or high schools, or any school level anyway. You know, I mean, there's a rule that we've had for a while now, and just where I'm in Ohio, and that rule is called Title IX, where like if you don't have a female sport for something, you have to allow the females to play it in men's sports. For example, in football, there's only one football, so any girl could play football under this rule. We have that in like wrestling too, you know, and we've lost the battle here as far as gender division, you know. There's no more Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. It's like if you're a girl and you want to be in Boy Scouts, they say, hey, come on board. You're a Boy Scout now, and you can be in the same troop and tent with the boys. It really doesn't matter. I've seen an example of like a full Boy Scout troop, quote unquote, boy that was girls. So how does this all compute? You know, we've certainly lost our way as far as that goes.
You know, I may have a slightly different take than you guys, although I agree with most of what's been said. I think that there are two sexes, you know, in a normal kind of situation, but I think there is a rare look. I mean, there are very rare things that happen in nature, such as hermaphroditism. A child can be born both genders. Used to be considered both sexes, rather, a very sad, unfortunate, rare thing, where, you know, there are medical interventions. Just as I think that can happen in a very rare, maybe one in a, you know, couple in a million times, there may be people who have a very rare disorder called transsexualism. I mean, I was aware of such people as a child, although they were extremely few. I think the left has gotten a hold of something that may exist, you know, in nature, and politicized it, taken something very rare and used it to kind of as leverage, as political leverage. I think some of it has to do with decadence, being in a very wealthy society where a lot of people have a lot of choices and money and time. There's a lot of confusion. And my take is that this has been kind of something very rare. It has been hijacked and politicized. And I think where I do agree with you is that I do think nobody should bother these people. I think tolerance is important, but I also think it's got to be confusing for children, little children, to be inundated with this stuff, which is it really should be an adult concern, or a concern, about to be dealt with humanely in these rare cases, instead of a huge political push and movement that's being foisted upon, kids, 99.99% of whom, do not have these issues by nature. And I think there's just a lot of confusion in our whole society right now, or, that the hard left is pushing. I think they're using it. They're gaining from it power. And I agree. I share the concern for children, especially. I think in a lot of areas, whether it's this one, whether it's, racial issues, my concern is really with the young people of this country. I think a lot of adults have agendas, and it's about power, political power mainly, and other kinds of power. And I think, it's got to be confusing for kids the way it's being handled.
Yeah, well said, Heather. Before we wrap up, I want to change the subject to a little more Christmas discussion. We'll do some rapid fire questions here, since we're coming on the end of the hour. In 1 minute or less, Rob, what is your favorite Christmas dessert?
Wow.
Or I'd say cookie, or whatever you want to qualify
Christmas
that as.
dessert, I would say that's lemon meringue pie.
How about you, Ray Ray?
I like the cookies with the sprinkles on them.
Sugar
with a little
cookies?
cherry, and little cherry in the middle. I love those.
Do you like the sugar cookies with the frosting and the sprinkles?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. How about yourself, Heather?
I would like to make a statement on behalf of gobs, which are a Western Pennsylvania specialty. They're also called whoopie pies, and they're like 2 soft cookies with cream filling in the middle. I don't know that they're particularly for Christmas, but I like them, so I vote for gobs.
And how about yourself, Sean?
Mm-hmm.
I have to check out gobs. Sorry, John.
Certainly peppermint ice cream, and you can turn peppermint ice cream into some sort of hot fudge sundae. And if you want an adult beverage, something called creme de menthe that you can put over ice cream is also a very good minty but good potent alcoholic beverage.
It sounded like you were making one possibly a few minutes ago.
Oh my!
But yeah,
did you say it was called gob?
Yeah,
Gob.
Gob. G-O-B-S. Gobs.
Gobs.
Or an individual one would be a gob. Yes.
Gobs.com, maybe. Maybe we can get him as a sponsor if we say them enough times.
And maybe just say that around here. I've also heard, like I said, whoopie pies is what they call them in New York, I think.
I'm looking at them right now online. Gobs. Oh, looks really tasty.
Can you put up the picture, Rob?
Let me see if I can put it up. Go ahead. Ask the next question, Andrew. Let me see.
Okay.
Right okay.
And okay, there's gobs. Wow, those do look good. They almost look like kind of like ice cream sandwiches in a way, but yeah, those look good. Rob, what's your favorite Christmas movie?
Christmas movie? How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Which one? The Jim Carrey one?
The 1960. No, oh God, no. 1966.
1966. You like the oldie, huh?
Oh yeah.
It's an oldie but a goodie.
I love it.
Yeah, it's so funny how the dog always gets mistreated. He treats it like the reindeer. That always made me laugh.
Yep.
The poor dog. How about you, Ray Ray?
Well, I always like the Christmas Story where the little guy with the glasses beats up the bully. I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Love the Christmas Story.
Do you watch that every year?
I plan to.
Do you watch it? Do you wait for Christmas Day to watch it?
Yes. Always.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
There's another movie I like. I forget where the different angels of Christmas, and I kind of like he's the Grinch. I forget this, more like a British story. I forget.
Christmas
Excellent.
Carol, maybe.
The Christmas Carol. The Christmas
Okay,
Carol.
yeah,
Yes,
that is a good one.
that's a real good one.
Mhm.
And you know, I come from my mom is British, so it's a little different twist. It's always been a little different twist for Christmas. You know, being that we really grew up Jewish,
Mhm.
but we always had Christmas dinner. That's a British thing. So mom always makes either a turkey or a goose or something, duck.
Mhm. Did you guys
Um,
have a Christmas tree growing up?
we didn't in our
Nope.
family. No,
Okay. Do you
we did not.
even now do you hang any Christmas decorations or anything like that, or
No,
not
I'm
your thing?
like,
What about
no.
Hanukkah? Do you hang anything for that?
No, not really.
No,
Just the candles. Just light the candles,
just light the
one for
candles.
each day. Yeah, that's just a candle thing.
Okay. People
So
don't. Yeah, I don't know. Do people don't really decorate for Hanukkah like they do Christmas so much?
you might hang something in a window that's like blue and silver or this or that. You know, the
Mhm.
Israeli colors. But no, we don't. There used to be something called the Hanukkah bush, but I never really knew too much about the Hanukkah bush.
You know,
And
I can tell
whoop,
I
go
was
ahead.
going to say, share a little family story. When I was little, you know, we always celebrated Hanukkah. We're Jewish family, and we did used to ask why isn't Santa coming? Where is Santa? You know, my little brother and I. So one year before that, we were on vacation, and our mom was exhausted from hearing us plead and whine for Santa and for a Christmas tree. And she finally relented and said, "Oh, you guys are driving me crazy. All right, I'll get you a Christmas tree." And she got one of those little with the fake snow. It was like a
Mhm.
little miniature tree, and stuck it in our hotel room. And as so happened, the local rabbi, came to visit that night. And we had the little Christmas tree and the presents under the tree. So it was a little bit awkward, you know. But, you know, in the end, we were all sort of, you know, enjoying
Busted.
the holiday spirit, and so it worked out okay. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm with Ray. We pretty much kind of Hanukkah is also a festival of lights, and we light the menorah, and I personally, you know, and I'm guessing Ray may feel the same. I mean, I enjoy the Christmas spirit, you know, even
Yes.
though I'm not Christian. I enjoy the lights and the goodwill and the happiness of the season. It certainly, you know, anthropologically also is very nice that it happens when it does, when the days are just at their shortest, you know, and we come together and celebrate life, and so it's a great American tradition too.
Yeah, I feel the same way. Heather, what's your favorite Christmas movie? You have any thoughts on that?
I do. I'm going to go with a classic, Andrew. It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, okay, excellent. Another oldie but goodie. Sean, what about yourself?
Yeah, well, I would probably offer a mix of movies such as Gremlins, which is a Christmas movie from the 80s. You
Good
know,
one.
remember the Gremlins put on Christmas hats and stuff while they kill people. Also, Bad Santa is always a good one. It's a fun one.
Mhm.
If we want to get a little more serious and a little romantic, I always like the Love Actually that was recently made with Hugh Grant. I always thought that's a fun movie with a big cast anyway.
Wow, I've never seen that one. Hugh Grant, Love Actually.
Mm-hmm.
Have
Yep,
to
watch that with the
check that one.
girlfriend
I
sometime.
was gonna say it
I would
sounds like a
recommend that.
rom-com with Hugh Grant. I don't know what
Yep,
else
it's a good
he really
rom-com that you could watch among family as well. So
made.
there you go.
All right, so we'll go to Christmas music now. Rob, do any Christmas songs stick out to you? My favorite is "Carol of the Bells." I just love that quick song and just so upbeat and the tempo's so high. Just love
Carols of
that
a
song.
bell, dun, 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 ding dong, ding
Yep,
dong.
that one.
Yeah, I
I
like that.
never know what they're saying though. I can never sing along because they talk so fast. It's like I have no idea what any of the lyrics are, except "Ding
Oh,
Dong."
right. And speaking of Christmas songs, you guys you've got to tune into our Christmas show tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. That's 8 p.m. Central Time, which would put it at 6 p.m.
It's actually Friday.
I'm sorry. No, Gary, because I keep thinking today is Thursday. Friday.
Right.
We've got to watch our Christmas special on After Dark with Rob and Andrew on the America Out Loud platform, being streamed on iHeartRadio. We have two fantastic singers that are singing a cappella, Tina B and Jody C, that are on, and they will be singing Christmas songs. And we're going to be talking about Christmas favorites, foods, the ugly sweater, and whatnot. So definitely tune in Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time to our Christmas special. Now, my favorite Christmas song, I would say it is a song by the Christmas song, Chestnuts Roasting on an Open Fire. I love that song. Oh, no, wait, I take it back. I have another one. Charlie Brown's Christmas. Christmas Time. Love that song.
That is a good one. And Ray will end the episode with maybe a Christmas poem. But before we get to that, do you have a Christmas song that you like?
My favorite was, I don't know the name of it, but rum pum bum bum rum pum bum bum rum
Little
pum
Drummer
bum
Boy.
bum.
Little
Drummer
Drummer
I play
Boy.
my bells for you.
That's my all-time favorite, and I kind of like Mariah Carey too.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I do too.
You know, her song. They say she makes $1 million every December.
Wow.
Must be nice.
That's
huh?
her deal.
Yeah. What about you,
So-
Heather? What's your favorite Christmas song?
I think I'll have to go with White Christmas by Irving Berlin, who is American. Yes, yes. I think I remember discussing this with Phoebe last year, and yes, also very much in the American tradition of ecumenicism. He was, was a great songwriter, and I think he wrote some other Christmas songs as well. I always liked that one.
Excellent. And Sean, what about yourself?
Yeah. I would have to say, and maybe I may have hinted at it earlier in the conversation, but it would definitely be Wham! Last Christmas. And, it's just the perfect Christmas song going back to the early 1980s. And there's also a game called Whamageddon you can play during this time of the year where you can play it with your friends. And if you hear Wham! Last Christmas, whether it's on the radio or you're out at the store somewhere or somebody plays it for you or you just hear it, well, you're out of the game. So, the goal is to try to avoid hearing the song because it's so hard to avoid that song. And me, I love the song anyway. So, I wouldn't be very good at that game because I would just want to hear that song. But it totally would be Wham! Last Christmas. And the music video really portrays the perfect kind of Christmas card there in early 1980s life. So it would definitely be that.
Yeah, fantastic. I love when December rolls around and the Christmas music starts coming on. Just puts you in an upbeat and positive mood. And it's the perfect time of year because it's these cold temperatures and you just need a good distraction like Christmas. It's such a beautiful holiday. We'll switch up the order for our final question. Sean, what is your greatest holiday Christmas memory?
Ooh, that's a really good one, Greatest holiday Christmas memory, I would say, was probably when I had some family, a good lot of family in town. And, when I was a kid, I did some handcrafted stuff like knitted some Christmas clothing for my grandparents. And my mom had taught me to knit, not that I'm big into knitting, but it was very successful because I was able to, knit like a full sweater for my grandparents, and it turned out pretty well. So to show that craftsmanship was really impressive to me, and just reminds me of Christmas as a kid with family, lots of people around, lots of music, and just a wonderful, jolly old time.
Wow, what a sweet story, Sean. Fantastic.
Well, thank you.
Heather, what's your favorite Christmas or holiday memory that comes to mind?
Well, I'm just off the top. I'm thinking about my dad lived on the West Coast when I was a teenager, and I remember starting college at the University of Washington and spending time with him on the weekends in this town called Edmonds, where he was staying, Edmonds, Washington. and it was just beautiful. It was a very sweet little town, and it was all decorated, for Christmas. And yeah, I just remember us hanging out. He was getting some medical treatment there, and we got pizza and just hung out in the room. And it was like the little town was all lit up, and it was just kind of sweet, spending time with him. So that's what I remember, I guess.
Yeah, that's really great. And Washington State really is a beautiful state.
It
The
is. It sure
scenery
was.
and whatnot.
Yes, yes. Let's hope it hasn't been destroyed by all
Yeah.
the. Anyway, not that we're going to get into politics again, but yes, it is a beautiful state. It
Yeah,
is.
the scenery at least. Ray, what's your best or favorite holiday memory?
Well, my son, who was born in 1982, was born in Bogota, Colombia, and my ex-wife and I, we adopted our son, and we traveled to South America to go fetch him, and we came back on Christmas Eve.
Oh wow.
So that was a very special night in our lives, and the only problem was that everything was closed and we couldn't get any baby formula. But that was Christmas Eve, 1982. He'll be 40 this year.
Oh, excellent. What a
So,
fantastic story.
Fantastic.
Oh God, yeah.
Great memories. Rob, what about yourself? Does any memories pop up in your mind? What's your best or greatest holiday moment?
Nothing in particular. I would guess I would say when my son, who's now 8 years old, it snowed one Christmas, and I took him outside, and the only thing he wanted to do was just in the snow and stay there the entire time. And when it was time to come home, he threw a complete fit. I don't want to come inside. So yeah.
Oh
Awesome.
my.
And that fit made for a great memory. Who would have known probably at the
Oh,
time?
right.
Yeah,
Him laying
that's
on the
great
floor
stuff.
crying and looking at me saying, I want to go back out.
My favorite is when I was in third grade, or no, I would have been in like second grade. I went downstairs. I had no idea. I had never had a dog before, and a miniature collie came running up to me, a little puppy. It was just like the most exciting thing ever. I still remember it. I was just shocked that I had my own dog. It was super exciting. Shelby, definitely miss him. He passed away my senior year of high school, so I had him for a long time. And yeah, it was a fantastic memory. Thank you guys all for joining us tonight. This was fantastic. Before we go, Ray, do you have a poem to lead us out?
I always have something up my sleeve, Andrew. Come on, you know me better
Fantastic.
now.
I figured.
Well, we this time of year, it's all about family. It's about family getting together. It's about family passing on traditions from one generation to the next. And I wrote a poem that I've gotten a lot of praise for from all the poems that I write, and there are hundreds, as you know. But this one seems to be one that resonates with a lot of people. So I'm going to read it. It's called Reflections of a Child. When we look at our children, what do we see? All the potential of what they could be. When they look back at us, what do they see? That curious question of what it could be. They really don't know us and what we have done. To get where we are, it hasn't always been fun. But one day they'll notice we're just like they are, yearning for love, reaching for stars. They may see a picture of when we were young, framing the questions how far we have come. It all fits together, digitally filed. Inside of each parent, within lies a child. We look at our parents, whether living or gone. They saw our potential of what we've become. That miracle moment, a lifetime compiled, when a child sees the parent as they were as a child. That's it. So I just want to wish
Beautiful.
everybody a great new year. You've been great friends. I wish we could get together sometime in person. Maybe one day that'll happen. And we have a lot to be grateful for. We have our voice, and we have our friends, we have our family, and yeah, we have a goal, and that's probably that there be more freedom and peace and understanding in this crazy world. So thank you all for allowing me to join you tonight.
Yeah, thank
Love
you
you
so
all.
much, Ray. And
Thank you.
what's the best spot people could go to pick up one of your fantastic books?
Probably the best thing is to go to Amazon, just Irvin Raymond Brookstein or Irvin R. Brookstein. They can go to my website too, and which is rayraypoetryworld.com. Or they can even go to Barnes and Noble, and they can, buy author Irvin R. Brookstein, and they could order up any of my books. I think there are 6 of them.
Fantastic. And to check out Heather's most recent New York Post article, what was that one titled?
Thank you, Andrew. It was called "Wisdom of Heroes."
Wisdom of Heroes. You guys definitely want to check that out. She talked to World War II veterans. Amazingly enough, she found quite a few that were alive and did a great piece on that. You guys definitely want to go check that out. And thank you, Sean, for staying up late with us. I understand you came straight
Absolutely.
from a Christmas party onto the Christmas show. So
Absolutely. And the party
you've had a
continued
Christmassy
on
night.
our
Yeah.
show tonight. So
Yeah,
thank
we
you
heard.
again.
We heard that live. And
Yes.
Rob, of course, always thank you. We've had another great year on the podcast. Special Merry Christmas to you and all of
Ditto.
our guests tonight. We appreciate you all, and definitely all of our listeners. Merry Christmas, everyone, and we hope to see you next year. Hopefully, it won't be another 4 months before we come on live again. We'll check in before that for sure.
Thank you all. Good night.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Again.
Thank you
Thank
again
you.
for the platform too, Rob.